Hello and welcome to the Watchin It podcast. On today's show, it's just Severance. Just Severance. We got the season 2 premiere. There's quite a lot there.
We doubled up with Silo this week, so our regular episode has been released for Silo season 2 finale.
Yeah,
check that out. But we had to cover Severance episode 1 of season 2. It is called Hello, Miss Cobel. Which I thought was an odd name.
Yeah.
But it's the name on the screen.
Yeah, I
in
guess
Milchick's
that's
office.
where they got it. Yeah.
Such an odd
weird thing to pick
episode.
out.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring up something real quick just from season 1 that's a little bit talked about or shown in season 2. But as I'm just wondering, and maybe we'll get to see this in this season because this episode focuses solely on the innies. We don't get to see any of the outie world.
Yeah, I thought it was odd we didn't get to see any of the outie world. Hopefully the next episode.
Yeah.
That would be crazy if the whole season with nothing but innie.
Ooh.
That would be
insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just wondering, like, I really hope we do get to see the event, especially Irving, of right after they swapped back. Because, like, Irving, like, Mark's is actually be the most mundane, seeing as he was with his sister and had already explained everything. But, like, Irving's literally pounding on Bert's door.
Yeah.
When they swaps back, I'm like, that's going to be interesting. Like, why are you here? Why were you calling me? And stuff.
Well,
and
yeah. So Mark, clearly, he wants to come back in.
Yeah.
Right. Dylan, he never got out.
Yeah.
So he doesn't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Mark, obviously, his sister would have told him, like, hey, your innie was here. This is what's going down. There were a lot of people that saw it. All that. Helly, I mean, Helly is questionable because obviously she was in a large group of people and whatnot, but she's in the family.
She is part of the Severance thing.
Do you think that Helly is severed?
No.
I don't think
After watching
either.
this, I mean, first time through, I was like, yeah, it's an interesting idea. The second time through, just watching her mannerisms, watching the like things she does.
Yeah, definitely a different feel of a character.
Yeah, definitely the things she does. And then also the big thing is also like thinking about why they would want to like come back. Because like when we're getting into it already, but when he says like Mark is the only one who wants to come back, and it makes sense because Mark would want to come back because his innie revealed that Miss Casey or his wife is alive. So that makes sense. Dylan's outie, I mean, he like I could understand, and Irving wouldn't have any real reason, but I know Helly would never want to come back because her unlike Mark and his innie, where they're two sides of the same coin in a sense, like it's just Mark's way of coping with his grief. Helly and outie Helly are polar opposites.
Yeah.
They want the exact opposite thing. So I'm like, so he would never let her innie back in, but she definitely, because he's for the company, she's an Egan, she'd go in to collect information and find out what they did.
Yeah. And I mean, I think what they're trying to make it sound like is maybe she doesn't want the rest of the team to know.
Yeah.
I'm in agreement with you that she's not severed.
Yeah.
But maybe like what they want the audience to think is, oh, she just doesn't want them to know that she's an Egan. And so she's making up these lies. But I think like the big giveaway for me is when, because they're all in the break room.
Yep.
And they're kind of sharing their stories and whatnot, and then Irvin just walks out and doesn't share his story.
Yep.
And she really wants to follow him.
Exactly. Yep. I put that. I noted that too. Is like, I mean, even before when they're in the room, or when they're like they first meet up in the room, she's the first person to point out, hey, there's no cameras in here. Then after the video, she reiterates that, hey, Milchick said there's no microphones now. And then she keeps pushing like, tell us what happened, or even tell us what happened. And then like you said, when they're walking out of the hallway and Dylan's like, I got him. She's like, oh no, we should all go. And I'm like, you are really pushing for them to tell you what
And then
happened.
Also like when she's talking with Mark in the hallway walk, and she's like, well, that's not your wife.
Yeah.
It's the Audie's wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Crazy.
I know.
Yeah. I'm in agreement with you.
It's some crazy stuff.
But then, so think about Irvin, right? Yeah, he would have woken up on
Bert's
doorstep.
Yeah.
His Audie would be like, why am I here?
Would be, why am I here? But he would know who Bert is.
Yeah, but he wouldn't. He
wouldn't know about the connection.
Yeah, he wouldn't have.
That's what they didn't. We haven't been explained yet. Hopefully, this season is Bert in season 1, and that's why any Irving is able to find Bert's house. Is Outie Irving was for whatever reason already collecting the names and locations of other outies. Including Bert, but we also see that he knows where Dylan lives and knows where.
Yeah, he's doing an investigation.
Like he's doing, and he's painting those pictures of like he has some sort of either memory or maybe Audie Irving has more to do with Lumen than we know.
I think Audie Irving, from what we saw in season 1, I think he's staying up all night and not sleeping as a way to access severed memories, and that's why he knows about the hallway.
And that's why Irving's always tired.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So he's like, he's blurring the lines.
Yeah.
And whatnot. And that's why, like, when Innie Irving was like falling asleep, he was seeing black paint.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. Yeah. Crazy stuff. But
crazy stuff.
Irving, he's still kind of he didn't have anybody to tell him what happened.
No.
And all that stuff. So
And that's the other thing I think that with Helly impressing them is they don't know to the full extent what Irving and Mark did.
Yeah.
Why they're out there. Because they don't have any surveillance on them or any way to know. So they don't know to the full extent what they did. So Helly's like, hey, what you get up to?
She's a plant to get information for sure.
Yeah.
So this episode starts out with Mark coming out of the elevator. Right. He does a hallway.
New layout, new look. You know, obviously they've done some changes.
He does a hallway run. Amazing camera work.
Yes.
Amazing music.
Need to know how the scene was done, whether it was drones or CG or some really insanely well done gimbal work.
And for the people who haven't watched the episode, which you should before you listen to us talk about it. We've already spoiled things. But do not go and watch the after credits. We went there's like at the beginning of the episode it says stay tuned for
behind the scenes. It was not behind the scenes.
Yeah, we wanted to go behind the scenes to see if they told us how they
shot the episode
or did this hallway run scene because maybe they did a drone, maybe it's CGI,
insane gimbal work.
It's just really cool. But no, we went and watched it for about 10 seconds. And stopped it immediately because they just started just giving you all sorts of future information and little
showing new characters.
I was like,
what is this?
We don't want to know anything until the episode is out.
Exactly. Do not ruin this. I was upset. Like when they said behind the scenes, I was like, I want to I do like a good because I really do like finding out the ins and outs of the industry, how they do this stuff, how they do. So if they would have given like a breakdown, not just of that camera scene, but maybe of some other stuff, and maybe some of their thoughts of how they cast it. I mean, we only had one new character, but still, how they casted the new characters.
We had 4 new characters.
Oh yeah. I guess we had. I forgot about.
But it was not a behind the scenes. It was a look forward, which is not acceptable at all to call it.
Especially with this show.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to look forward to nothing.
But Mark, as he runs to wellness, to find and I thought it was odd that the wellness door is even there.
Yeah,
and that
you can see
the faded wellness.
The faded wellness when he goes in, like they have the 2 like back doors that were there. They're like
those are gone.
But there's still that the imprint or the marks are there of where they wore. Like I just feel like if it's been 5 months, why is this not just completely converted to like a storage closet or just a wall? Like why is there any remnant there?
So the question is, who was the shadowy figure in the hallway?
It looked, I mean, and like I said, we don't get any good look at him, but just the way he stood and moved, it really reminded me of, we know he's dead, but of the character from last season, Mr. Gringer, who was like
I think it was him, Mr. Granger.
Yeah, sorry.
Or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Because there's a theory
from
the previous season that I was reading.
Okay, I'm interested in this.
That they're learning how to reanimate the dead and bring the dead back to life.
Oh, so that's why Miss Casey's walking around?
Maybe.
Because they said she goes to the testing floor.
Yeah, even though she supposedly died in a car wreck.
Yeah.
And Miss Huang, the girl that we meet.
Yeah.
She was a crossing guard.
Yes.
The theory is she died
in the same
as a
accident?
crossing guard, and they brought her back, and she's like a Miss Casey character. Like she doesn't leave Lumen.
Yeah.
She's like permanently severed.
Yeah.
That's kind of just theories throwing out there.
Some
Very
stuff.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm about to say, like I said, we don't get a good look at the guy, of course. They want that. He's blurry, he's in the background, but...
No, it definitely looked like him.
Yeah, just his way, like if you watch the first season and you see this character, just the way he kind of moved, the height, the build, and it's the way he moved, and the way he stood, I'm like, that looks like Mr. Gringer.
But Mark makes his way to MDR.
Yep.
And finds his new coworkers.
Yep.
Mark W., Gretchen, Gwendolyn,
and Italian man.
Some Italian
because literally in the subtitle, like they never get to his name in the game, and literally in the subtitles it just says Italian employee. I was like, that's fantastic.
Yeah. I am sad that these characters go away at the end. I hope that they return.
That's what I was saying. Is like I'm wondering if that's all we get, especially for who they cast as Gwendolyn. I mean, I could also see he's the kind of actress who
and for who they cast as Mark W.
He was. I didn't recognize.
He's a well-known guy. He was in Seinfeld and all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say I could see her taking a cameo role. Just popping in for an episode because he seems like that kind of just. I don't know her name, but I know her.
Yeah.
But I could see
she is in Old Man.
Yep, Arrested Development.
Yep.
She's
fantastic actress.
And I could see she seems like the kind of person who would be like if they came to her like, hey, you just want to do this just for fun. I see like, yeah, that's a great time. Yeah. So I could see that being it, but also it's
Ben Stiller's running the show.
Yeah,
I'm sure he has a Rolodex. He can just be like, I need you for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
or I need you for a day of work.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna pay rate. Just come in and be on
swing
Severance.
By, hang out with the rest of everybody.
You probably got people knocking on the door just to get
just to pop in for a bit. But
Milchek shows up to pull Mark away.
Yep, give him his balloons.
I love the short, quick intro.
Yes,
just widescreen Severance. Move on. That's the way it should be. Heroes change the game.
Yep,
and I was not a fan of the long meandering. I like the music, but the long meandering soundtrack or intro in the previous season I did not like. I hope they stay with the short one.
Didn't actually, I mean, you bring up the music. We heard like subtle tones of it, but we didn't hear the actual the music this season yet. I'm wondering if they're moving away from it or if that's intentional for reasons. Who knows? We'll find out. But Mr. Milchek, which I gotta say this, after, like I said, I watched the first season again recently, and then even just seeing him again and see the dude who plays Mr. Milchek just kills it as this dude, as this kind of like this ultra nice, but behind, like sinister, you could see behind the eyes, like it's like, oh, he's always so nice and sweet.
He does not know how to make kind eyes,
but he is just sinister and has his own machinations going on, and I love this dude in this role.
Tramell Tillman is the actor.
Tillman, nice. I don't know if I've seen him in anything else. Hopefully, if not, hopefully he will start showing up in other stuff because he kills it as Mr. Milchek. Mr. Milchek takes Mark back to his office.
Oh, he's going to be in Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning.
Ooh,
yeah,
okay,
that's a good role for him, I think. Yeah.
Maybe he'll play a sinister person in that because I could see him doing it. Anyways, Mark and Mr. Milchek get to his office, which is Miss Cobel's old office, and we get introduced to our new Mr. Milchek, I guess, which is Miss Wong, which is like a 12-year-old girl.
Yeah. Maybe like 8 or 9, like super young.
Yeah, really young. I also got to say this girl, whoever she is playing this role, does so well. Like her stare downs with Mark, and I'm just like, I wonder how many takes that was. Just because I imagine both of them just breaking out, cracking up, or when her and Irving are having to stare down at the door, and Irving's just like, what is going on?
So let's talk about timelines.
Yes,
he says that it's been 5 months. I don't believe it for 1 second. No.
How long do you think it has been?
No, days.
Okay, so you think it's been days?
Days, yeah, maybe weeks, because they had to create this newspaper, which we'll talk about the newspaper in just a second.
Yeah,
he says it's been 5 months. 5 months. I don't believe that. I did note that his office. He has not moved into his office.
No, it's very.
When we come back,
I guess that might explain why wellness isn't as much done as it could have been.
If it's like a rush job or something.
Yeah.
They're at the end of the episode when he comes, because he sends Mark out, like kind of pseudo fires him.
Oh,
and then comes back, and then they go into his office. It's now unpacked because like the lamp was all wrapped up at the beginning. And the first time we go in there, and then it's not. And the next time that we go in there, he tells Mark that they are heroes on the outside and presents them with a newspaper called the Kier Chronicle.
Yep.
Pure propaganda.
But also for innies, it would be hard for them to catch on to that.
Oh, this absolutely.
Is the only world they know. So they're like, yeah, of course, Kier, who everybody sees as a goddess, and like, of course, Kier has a newspaper. So like,
So I did some looking into this, did some pausing and some reading.
Yep.
And the picture that is on there is a photoshopped image of a ticker tape parade for Dwight Eisenhower.
I was about to say, it looks old and it looks like it's
and the pictures are just their like intake pictures photoshopped in there. Like literally like the one for Helly is her picture from the photos day.
So yeah, this is a fully a makeup job here. Yeah.
And it is talking about it mostly talks about the innie revolution and all this stuff and whatnot. But it also mentions Rick and Hale.
Oh.
And that he has a new book coming out called The 9 Values. Like the 9 Kier things. It says how I accepted Kier into my heart. And it ends with like that everybody at the parade was singing the hymn of Kier. So it's the whole article is trying to make it out to be that all the outies, everyone on the outside,
everyone has come
also just as Kier religious.
Yes,
has
come over
innies.
to this. And I like the part and I'm not sure if this is intentional. I do like the part with Rickon being basically like saying like now he's with Kier because Rickon is kind of like
Messiah,
is kind of their guy who you could say was even leading them away from the Kier way of thinking. Now it's like, oh, both Kier and Rickon together. Oh, it must be meant.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's some good stuff right there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that book shows up, like that fake book of
fake Rickon book.
That would be. Or I think Rickon would take the money.
Yeah.
If like Lumen rolled up, maybe not now.
I think Rickon is loyal enough to Mark that he
I guess, yeah.
And even before, he was already very much anti-Severed.
That true.
With him and his friends. Yeah, maybe not.
Though he is pretty rich, I think. Rickon's probably pretty rich.
Oh, that's another thing I wanted to bring up from season 1, or just in general. If there were going to do a spin-off show, I know that sounds weird, I would want a prequel because I need to know how in the world Rickon got together with Mark's sister. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I mean, I would take a bunch of spin-offs, the early days of Lumen, like 1870s Lumen.
I'd like a Mr. Milchick spin-off, like focusing on him. But
how he got involved and like what his life is on the outside.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a dancer. He dances a lot. But yeah.
See, I know this is league, but I don't say if I would love in the Mr. Milchick spinoff for him to be like on the outside, he is like maybe not sociopath, but like just a tough, like maybe like mob boss mentality. Like he's just brutal and unforgiving, but then he comes down there and he's like, "Hey, everybody, let's dance."
But yeah, they continue the propaganda. With Milchick telling Mark that like it was all Miss Cobel and she was in some sort of psychological sex horror show, like trying to create a thruple out of his innie and outie.
Yeah, she was erotically attracted to both Marks and wanted to have a strange thruple.
They go back to MDR and Hugh Wong shows up, who's the deputy manager, and it's her first day.
It's her first day. Yeah, I wrote that down. I was like, interesting. Mark comes back, and suddenly Miss Wong is here for her first day.
And they do the ball game, which is okay. But I do like the scene where he's like, I made 4 new friends, and she just stares him down like, no, I'm a supervisor.
But no, we also find out from Mark W. that his branch with Gwendolyn, because they were employed together, his branch was shut down, and he was of the mind like, oh, I was gonna be like permanently retired or killed. And so I like when he even says like, so this is a pleasant surprise.
They brought him out of retirement.
That's a very interesting thought of just like, when they're like, hey, we're shutting down the branch, like, oh, so this is it for me sort of thing. We even get a little allude. We can talk about that when we get there. But so
the day kind of ends there.
Yeah.
Mark goes out and comes back in immediately. We don't get any outside outie stuff.
No.
We find out that the branch they're in is an older branch.
Yes.
And they don't have like animatronic Kier stuff and all that. Yeah.
But we also find out that apparently the Italian branches are extremely poor.
Yeah.
They don't have even models. They use brooms with arms and stuff. But
this is kind of an uneventful like day. except that Mark S. Writes a note to Mark W.'s Audi.
Yeah.
Pretending
Mark
to be
W.
Mark W. and puts it in Mark W.'s coat.
Yep.
So he leaves. He leaves for the day again. Immediately comes back.
Hold on. I do want to circle to something that Mark W. says because it's making me wonder because like I said, we still don't know what Lumen does officially and what what MDR is doing, but Mark W. says that his, like I said, he earlier said that his brand's closed, and he also drops that his brand or his team never made quota. Which in season 1, like that's a big thing that there's like got to make quota. And it also seems like Mark's team is hitting it all the time. And so it's one of those things like how long was his team allowed to perform and not make quota? And does making quota actually matter, or is it more because like we don't know what Lumen's doing, or is that like some test thing where like making quota doesn't even matter? It's like seeing what people are willing to do. Yeah, just maybe start thinking when he said that about his team. Yeah, but so he plants that note.
Work is mysterious and important, Donna. But then we come to day 3. Yeah, immediately walks in, caught.
Yeah,
caught.
And I do like, and it's one thing that keep remembering because I remember Miss Casey even says like I've only been alive for 178 hours. I think she says, and then like all of them, like Irving is the oldest, but even still, he's. 5? Like they all, while they definitely are, they're adults, still like a lot of the stuff that's why Dylan is so focused on his achievements and these things. Like they still have such a kid mentality because they have not been alive. And so Mark, in his grand plan to get his team, or at least Mark W, caught, like Mr. Mitchell's like, you didn't even change your name, didn't even do anything. Like he just thought, this will work. And it's like, no, man. Like, of course it's not gonna work. They're gonna Mark W. The engine's gonna be like, dude, I never wrote that. And like, so it's just one of those things of just like, these are Mark's only been alive for 2 years. Yeah, not even 2 full years because it's only 5 days a week for 8 hours. So not even a full 2 years. But it's just like to remember that.
Crazy. But so he gets caught. They remove his department chief badge, which I'm surprised he got to keep that, being the department chief after all the stuff that went down.
Yep, I know. And he comes back in, and I was like, I thought he already was the department chief. He then, which is I will say pretty clever for Mark, is he's like, oh, you guys don't know what I did in the kitchenette. And so everyone goes in there to see, and that's when he takes off to run to Mr. Milchick's office. Yep.
And he starts searching the drawers, and he finds the board speaker.
Yep.
The speaker
Before he finds the speaker, though, I do like he opens up one of the drawers, and it's like a mustache grooming kit. It's like, of course, Mr. Milchick got one of those. That mustache is on point.
Milchick comes and stops him, but he does get a chance to yell at the board for a second, or yell into the microphone.
He yells into the speaker. Yeah. You don't know if the board is there or not, how it works.
And he's like, I want my old team back.
Yep.
And all that stuff. And Milchick just marches him out.
Yep.
Sends him on his way.
Fires him.
Well, we don't know if he fires him, but he just tells him to leave. It comes right back. We don't get any Audi stuff again.
Nope. And we don't know how long it's been from the last time, but we do know suddenly that the exit of the elevator, there's like new artwork up, and there's some seating placed down.
Yeah, I'm really interested. I would really like to know how long it has been between him being sent out and then coming back.
And I do get the hint or the sense that Mark knows that it could have been a while because when Helly shows up, he's like, how long has it been? And he's like, a month, maybe some more. Or he's like 5 months, maybe more. So I feel like he knows, like, there's a possibility since the last time I was here. It's been another 5 months to,
I mean, there's a real stupid theory that I don't like, which is that Huang, the girl,
Miss Wong,
is him and Casey's daughter.
Okay, that's
it's a really bad one. Yeah, but I'm like, no, that's 12 years. You would be everybody would be noticeably older. Irving would probably be dead.
Irving would probably be dead. Everybody would be noticeably older. Let's steer clear of that theory. Yeah. And if the show ends up going that theory, that'd be one of the things where I'm just like, you had the pinnacle of television and you wasted it.
Yeah. That'd be crazy. But the old team shows up.
Yep.
And they had they're
showing
all
up right where they were.
Yeah, right when they left in season 1. Yeah.
Yeah, like Dylan is like just after getting attacked, which I do wonder actually about Dylan. Cause Irving was at Bert's house, and when he shows up, he's still like pounding on the elevator door calling for Bert. Helly is a different story because, like I said, I don't think she's severed.
Mm-hmm.
But then Dylan, if we remember, like Dylan had some time in between getting caught by Mr. Milchek and stuff because
we don't know what happened to him after he was caught, but he was still in.
He was very much in like fight mode, so it's probably like I imagine Mr. Milchek's probably just dragged him out and threw him into the elevator or whatever. Now once again, just so many things. Jumping back real quick though, so in season 1, the reason why Dylan is still in the building is he's there for his waffle party, which happens after work, and I'm just thinking how does that work out though? Because like let's say you're working at Severed and all that stuff, and then you're like, hey, you and your friends are like, hey, I get off of work at 5, let's go get dinner. But if you win a waffle party, suddenly like you're coming out of the office at 9 o'clock at night, and you're like, what the hell?
I would assume that they let the Audi know that
because they didn't. Mark didn't decide who got the waffle party until everybody was down below. And it's not like you can somehow contact Audi Dylan while he's in.
I thought there was time that passed. Was it all in the same day?
No, it's all the same day.
Okay, fair enough.
I just watched it, and like Mr. Milchek asked Mark that day.
And it's worse for Dylan, too, because he's got like childcare to think of and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. The severed life has got to be very inconvenient sometimes, too. Like, it's got to be rough. I mean, I guess it's not that rough, seeing as you never have to work in a sense. But still.
Yeah. But they're requested to go to the break room.
Yep.
And I'm like, no.
The break room is.
it makes sense they'd be sent to the break room.
Yeah, it makes sense why they'd be sent there. They're requested, but that's after they all kind of get together. We see that Irving is kind of broken. You know, he's in the bathroom just crying, which makes sense. Like I said previously, like his love story went south, unfortunately, at the end there. And this is the first kind of, I'd say, like Helly acting suspicious, where she's like, hey, there's no cameras. I'm like,
pointing it out very quickly.
Yep. But then that's when Miss Wong comes to collect them to go to the break room, which is it's literally the room where they break you in the first season. But in this, it appears to be kind of I guess I wouldn't say it's an actual break room, but it kind of seems like what is it called when like you hire on new people, like
Orientation room.
Yeah, like you got some nice chairs. They got a screen up to play a video.
Yeah. I want to know what's behind that other door.
Yeah.
There's some machines in there. I want to know what they do, like a coffee machine or something.
Yep.
And then they played this video.
Yep.
This claymation video,
talking
which I
about,
hate. I hate it.
You hate it?
I hated it.
Well, it was funny.
I hated it. We did learn some information.
Yep.
We learned about that they're in branch 501.
Yep.
Which I'm assuming it will be important in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And that the building in some form has been at that location since 1870.
Yep. We also learned that they're calling it the micro data uprising.
The microdat uprising.
Or microdat uprising. And interestingly, this video very much, like I said, it plays off that, like you said, it keeps playing on like the newspaper, that they're heroes, that it caused change in Lumen, and everybody sees them as these great people. But there is, just like kind of Mr. Milchek, there is a sinister undertone throughout it. Like Irving, when his hair bursts into fire, like they basically are like trying to show him as like a little bit of a villain. And then and it actually seems to be mainly focused on Irving, because then like even as they're going through the perks, they're like, and our mirror room, and they have Irving in there. But he is very much
the mirror room was a nightmare.
Yeah, he's very much not having a good time.
Nobody's having a good time in the mirror room, man.
And so, like, it's like this weird, like, kind of like, I feel like it's like a subtle threat. Like, hey, everything's happy. But there's a sinister undertone a little bit.
Yeah.
And the other thing we also find out, though, is that Lumen, like I said, so they're in building 501, but Lumen's in 206 countries. Which
it makes sense for a major.
But no, what I'm thinking is also like meaning like severed work, severance, and all that stuff is something that's like a worldwide thing.
Oh yeah,
is what we're finding out. Like it's not just happening here or a little Lumen experiment here. Like no, this has been going on. We got a little allusion to this in the previous season when we meet the lady who gets severed for her pregnancies, which that has got to be.
I would imagine the North Korean government is very interested, and some other countries are very interested in the severed technology.
Yes,
like oh, you mean we can control everyone and just shut them off at any time? I mean, there was like in season 1 where they had like those note cards that were like showing people how to do like fighting, and like kill people, like with like notebooks
what is
and
the
stuff.
extent of like, because I mean, like I said, we know about the severed workers at Lumen, and then we also, like I said, we learn about this lady who gets severed to have her kids. But I'm like, what is that? Like, you can get to some really dark places where like somebody is secretly a hitman. Their severed personality has been trained from the moment they were severed to be the ultimate killing machine. And so he goes, I mean, that'd be a great spinoff.
You're also assuming
that'd be a great spinoff.
You're
right
also
there.
just assuming one layer of severed. There could be multiple
could you
layers.
Sever a innie.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Create a third or fourth or fifth personality, and one that's just like ready to take over the world at any moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Sleeper agents, the ultimate sleeper agent.
Man, there's so much. This show is so phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need like the politics of it, man. I need like to see like, what the government's talking about and all that stuff. Because like the senator or whatever was like talking about passing a law to allow people to be severed all over the place.
Yeah, all over. Really pushing, which I think is probably what we're going to start discovering. Like, is kind of Lumen's big plan is like they want everybody severed.
But yeah, they do a little whisper chat where they tell everybody what they're doing. Hey, Helly lies.
Helly lies, and also is the one who really is pushing everyone to tell.
Yep.
He's like, there's no microphones, and when Irving doesn't want to say, he's like, come on, Irving, come on.
There's a possibility that Helly is severed, but that somehow they talked her into it. Like maybe they held something over her or something.
Yeah.
Anyway. But I'm still in agree with you that
I'm
just trying to play devil's advocate.
Like I could see that for Dylan and maybe Irving, but I just feel like because of how
I don't think there's any
polar
reason to do
opposites that Helly and Innie and Audi Helly are, and how much Innie Helly, like the one thing that Audi Helly, if she is Audi Helly pretending to be severed, the one thing that she said that I felt was totally in line with what Innie Helly would say is, we don't owe our Audis anything. Because I feel like Mark especially understands a little bit more, especially now after being out. But Mark, I could see Mark, Innie, and Audi getting along and understanding each other. I'm like, there is no world where both versions of Helly can coexist. Like they are polar opposite. They are enemies to each other.
But yeah, Irving doesn't want to talk.
Yeah,
and he walks off. Dylan follows him. Helly wants to go, of course.
Yeah.
But her and Mark wander off to have their own little chat. But Dylan stops Irving from wanting to just walk out.
Yeah, the side door. They're told like, yeah, you have to the end of the day. But Irving's like, they didn't say we had to stay though. And Irving's like, he's just ready to end it all. He's lost Bert. He knows that Audi Bert is. But Dylan does point out, Innie Bert is who he fell in love with, not Audi Bert. But I mean, that's where weird questions start coming into play once again with Severance, because at the end of season 1, and we see in the little video they played, a romance between Helly and Mark, kind of sparked up at the end of season 1, and then you find out that Miss Casey is Mark's wife, and I'm like, well, how does that work out? Or like, if you have you can't call it cheating, but still, if you have a relationship with one of your coworkers as severed, and then you come out and you're married, like, it's like, yeah, it gets really weird. It gets really weird when you start thinking about relationships and how the Innie Audi stuff works. Like, yeah, Dylan, tries to talk. Well,
one of the things in the newspaper it said was, I can't remember exactly, but it was like that they were going to be allowed to have sex. Like that was going to be not a rule. Like sex was no longer going to be a rule, which is interesting.
I mean, maybe that could be enticing for any Mark, seeing as he suddenly has a chance. But yeah, Dylan, tries to talk him down, but Irving's still pretty set on it. But he does tell Dylan about the dark hallway with the elevator with the down arrow, which, going back to season 1, that dark hallway we have seen, because that's the elevator, or that's the room that Miss Casey goes in, and she gets an elevator that has a down arrow. So I don't know how Irving knows of it, especially how Audi Irving. That's why there's a part of me that wonders if Audi Irving has some deeper ties to Lumen. Like maybe he used to work.
Like, why would Innie Irving have known about that hallway?
Well, he does. I think he doesn't
acts
know
like he doesn't.
It.
Okay, that's a good point. Yeah,
because Innie Irving doesn't know about it. He's like, yeah, he was painting. I don't know nothing about it.
That's why I think there's multiple levels of severed. I think that because Innie Irving has been around for a long time. I think he's been in a separate,
maybe another
layer of severed has been there.
So maybe the Innie Irving we're seeing is not the first Innie Irving.
Correct. Or maybe it's the first, but there's maybe another level. Really? Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. Hopefully they'll answer. They got to answer those questions.
They're going to be answering. I mean, we don't know one thing we got from the behind the scenes is like you're going to get a lot of questions answered right away, but there's going to be new questions. Already filling that. Yep. Stupid behind the scenes.
But Dylan gets called away by Miss Huang to go meet with Milchek.
Yep.
And he goes to his office and they go into a hidden door that goes to a back room.
Little back room where he has a drawing board or like thing out where they have like the blueprint for the crap. I had it written down. You got it? It's the family
the family visitation room.
Yeah, family
suite. There we go.
Yeah, family visitation suite. And he basically forgot before they go back into that room when he's leaving, he tells Dylan, "Oh, your wife's name is Gretchen." Like he gives.
We don't know if that's true or not.
Oh yeah. The only thing I was thinking because they allude basically, Dylan's like, "I'm gonna be able to see my family," and he's like, if you, I like the way he says, like, if you take that name at face value, it's just a weird way of saying it. I would say yes, but that also makes me think Dylan doesn't know, but he only saw him for a brief instant. I was like, Dylan doesn't know who his family is. So you put him in that room, you bring in some other people, maybe some other Severance, like, hey, pretend you're his Audi family or it's anybody, and stuff. And so that's why I'm like, yeah, this is definitely getting Dylan on their side. Thing. I think, from what I saw, like I said, they got Mark. They know that Audi Mark, and I understand why Audi Mark would be sending any Mark back because he wants to try and find his wife. So that makes sense. And then I feel like, I don't know how they convinced the Irving and Dylan's Audis to send their innies back, but I feel like they kind of got to beat on Irving. It changes at the end that he's not going to, like, when Milchek said, like, hey, you're free to choose to stay or not, I feel like he's weighing like, oh, Irving's not staying.
Well,
and I think it's
neither Irving nor Dylan's Audis, this is what I was talking about at the beginning, have any reason to think that they shouldn't go back to work.
Well, I guess maybe that wasn't televised. Yeah, maybe that was just a gala. Because I was about to say...
We don't know if anything was televised.
I'm just talking about Helly's thing.
Oh.
Was that event televised? I can't remember.
Oh, doubtful.
Yeah, maybe. Because if it wasn't televised, then then they didn't see anything. Because for some reason, I was just thinking that they did say it was on TV. And if it was...
And I think Irving, even if he does suspect something, he's still on a mission.
Yeah.
So he wants to be in.
Well, no, but what I'm saying, though, is the innies, though. Like, I'm not sure the innies, like... because they want to be able to control this group. And like I said, they know that Mark's going to be there, and the way to control Mark is to bring back his team of the best, but they also don't want his team helping him, which, like I said, Helly would definitely help Mark with what he wants to do, but that's why it's not really, or at least in theory, it's not really, it's Audi Helly. Dylan, I feel like they got him controlled now with this, or corrupted with this promise of seeing his family. And then, like I said, I think they were weighing that when they said, hey, you don't have to stay, they probably were like, Irving's not going to stay. Like, I think that's the thought process. And Milchek is like, we don't have to convince or corrupt or bring Irving to our side because Irving has lost everything. So any Irving's going to choose to leave. And then Dylan, we corrupt with, hey, promise of family. And then Helly is not any Helly, it's Audi Helly. And then you have Mark controlled because his two allies, if Irving did leave, his two allies are both secretly on Lumen's side. At least that's my theory.
I do think it's funny that Miss Huan, the assistant, the deputy manager, is... it looks like she's playing a game at first with like these balls dropping in the containers, but they may actually be just work.
Really?
Because as soon as Milchek closes his door, she goes for another game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, true. It does.
So it's like it seemed like she was like, quote, playing solitaire.
Yeah,
but I'm like, no, I think she was doing some mysterious work.
Yeah, whatever. Just like their weird number collection isn't work. Like, maybe that whatever she was doing was work, and then she grabs this bubble game that I was just like, that is so old school toy. But who knows what you're allowed down here.
But we see everyone getting back to work.
Yep.
Including Mark S., who is working on a new package called Cold Harbor. Still sticking with the water stuff.
Yep.
I mean, it's all about water.
Yep.
There's water towers. There's the big lake. Everything. All the I don't know, what do they call them? The packages or whatever they're working on files. All their files are named after numbers, water.
Yeah,
they've got water droplets on everything. I did like. I want the pin.
Those mints that we got to see. Those Christmas mints are in the shape of teardrops.
I want the pin that Milchek had. That was like the gray rectangle with the water symbol cut out of it. I'm like, oh, that's pretty sweet.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically everybody agrees to get back to work. Mark. Well, I mean, for two things, Mark is like smiling. I think because, like I said, he got his way, and I also think he thinks he has his team back intact as they were, which I do not. Like I said, I feel like I feel like at least 50% of his team is corrupted. Yeah. We're gonna find out.
I also noticed that Helly was struggling to find the on switch for her computer, which I don't think.
She's never been down here. She's never done this work. She doesn't know how to find the scary numbers. I imagine her production is going to be very low.
She's going to have trouble closing files.
But yeah, and then we kind of get this interesting glimpse because they talk about the numbers and how like the original thing they use as an example is that some of them will scare you, but they do say other numbers make you feel a certain way. And so Mark is smiling as he collects up these numbers and puts them in a bin. And that's when the screen kind of flickers to a picture of a digital picture of Miss Casey. Yeah. And I'm like, you kind of said like, this is what he's seeing. And that's why he's feeling happy is like, at least that's what I was kind of putting.
Well, it's not just a picture of her. It's a video, but it's also like got all these like, biometric data points.
Yeah,
like heart
which
rate
is weird. Heart
and
rate
all sorts of
and
stuff.
Temperature was in there.
Yeah,
and so that is true. That was weird.
Yeah, it's mysterious and important, Donnell.
Yeah.
But that's the episode. What a great start to season 2.
Right back in it.
Yeah, feeling good about it already. Directed by Ben Stiller.
Ben Stiller came back to do
still crazy to me that Ben Stiller's doing this.
Yeah, but hey, after yesterday's revolution with what's his face? Revelation with what's his face?
Taylor, whatever.
Yeah, that guy who apparently
the guy who wrote
some of the best
and Landman
stuff out
and
there.
Lioness and Yellowstone.
My mind's still blown. The dude is killing it. Just fucking
tearing it up. Yeah, and he does not have the look of the guy.
He does not. You should never judge a book by its cover. If there's anything to learn from that, because like I said, looking at him, I saw him always. Which there's nothing wrong with this, but I always saw him as he's a decent looking guy, and he constantly gets the role of like, hey, we need a gruff dude or kind of dude, good looking guy. You're not going to be the main man, but you might be the second dude, or you might. Well,
all the characters that he plays in all the shows. It's like you would never expect that he was a prolific movie and television
but you find
out
and that's what I love with Discovery was like, you find out the acting thing is his side gig, like he's doing this on the side just because he wants to be in his own stuff. His honest to goodness gig is, I write and direct extremely good movies and TV shows. That's what I do. And then I just was like, hey, why don't I throw myself in there? Like, you thought this was his main thing, was being an actor. Just like, no, I just do that because I can. I wrote it, so why
Taylor Sheridan.
Taylor Sheridan.
Yeah, crazy. Look him up on IMDb, people.
Mad respect.
Yeah, you can go watch everything.
Watch it. Look him up and then watch his stuff.
You'll see something on there that you like. Realize it's all good. Yeah, crazy stuff. Hey, if you like this podcast, you should check out our website, watchinitpod.com. There you can find links to our social media and to email us, watchinitpodcast@gmail.com. Donnell, what else should they do?
Well, we're in the thick of it now, folks. Severance is here.
Yeah.
Episode 1 was fantastic. We're going to be digging deep into it. I'm so glad to be able to talk about theories and stuff because, there's so much out there. So definitely stay tuned for more of that. We're going to cover the whole second season. Can't wait to discover more. And then I'm not sure what else we got on the docket. We got Best Of. We got Best Of. Yeah, that'll be coming out
this week. We just did finish Silo.
And then, I think our next kind of big normal thing we do coming up is probably going to be the Oscars.
We got the Oscars coming up. I've already looked at the roadmap.
Yeah.
After Severance, this is going to smash right into
Daredevil,
Born Again.
Yeah.
I've looked forward on the schedule, and we're pretty much set for like the next 6 months.
Nice. That's what I like to hear.
A lot of good stuff coming.
Yeah. But hopefully we'll get some interesting bonus content for you. I'm reaching out, trying to see if we can get some new taste of stuff and get some guests on here. So stay tuned for all of that. Give us any ratings, reviews, and 5 stars. Thanks so much for listening.